Hey guys, this is my part 2 of my original video where I reviewed all the comic book superhero, quote, movies and TV shows of 2024, or from at least the last 6 months of 2024. And because that video got too long, it has been split into 2 parts. This is the rest of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And here I pick up talking about Joker Folie Deux after mentioning how it is a more intimate movie than the first, which I believe to be its strength. So yeah, here's more of me talking. Joker Folie Deux is a film that I believe to be very good. It has cinematography that I believe rivals the first, as well as bold and interesting choices and a more introspective look into the mind of Arthur Fleck that is a very unorthodox movie, which I believe is, of course, what many people didn't like about this film, but something that I liked about it very much and I respect it for because I think it works very well as a film and delivers its message strongly. It's a film all about perception that is ironically perceived wrongly, in my opinion at least. I feel like the only problems I have with this film are the fact that it can feel awkward at times, in addition to the characterization of Harley Quinn, and some of the songs in this movie aren't great. But overall, I give this film an 8.7 out of 10. Circling back to Transformers 1, I probably should have talked about this first because I'm trying to do most of these in chronological order of release, but I kind of messed up there in the last video. But Transformers 1 fully lives up to the hype. I'll get the very few issues with the film out of the way first, which are, well, kind of the fact that this film isn't longer. But I mean that in a serious way, in addition to it being in a more comedic way, as I would like this film to be longer because it is pretty good. But if this film was longer, there would have been able to be more time developing the actual turn that D16 has into Megatron. I feel like it feels a little unnatural in this film, even though it still earns it and functions. And the relationship between Optimus or Orion Pax and D16 could have been developed more. I feel like everything is a little undercooked in the movie, and we don't really spend enough time with our 4 main characters. And the villain could have also been developed further. But for what the film has, it works. But considering everything, it is a particularly short movie, especially considering the runtimes of movies nowadays, with this movie only being 1 hour and 44 minutes. Though the entire runtime is with Orion Pax, D16, Alita, as she is called, and Bumblebee. It's really just to get the plot moving forward. We don't really get to spend time knowing the characters as much as I feel like we should to make a better movie. But the film still works, even though it feels a little fast-paced, but that still works in favor of the film because it's nice to get a good animated film that isn't over 2 hours long, like Across the Spider-Verse, even though that is also a good movie. Despite this minor issue and the fact that I feel like some of the comedy just wastes runtime and that some of the dialogue feels a little clunky as this film was probably rushed out, this is still a very good movie with animation that looks mostly stunning in the fact that it can make a robot world look beautiful at times with a good score, great voice acting, entertaining action, high stakes, a hateable villain who probably could have used some more development, surprises, plenty of setups, nods, and references to staples of the Transformers franchise, catchphrases to characters. Examples include the setup of the rivalry between Megatron and Starscream, or sort of rivalry, the inclusion of Alphatrion, and the real origin of Cybertron and lore behind it, and even Arachnid. Sentinel Prime works as a villain here, but I feel like it's becoming an overused trope that Sentinel Prime or Ultra Magnus or whoever he's supposed to be becomes evil and betrays other Transformers. The themes of the film and the development of Optimus Prime as a leader and Megatron as a villain is done very well and powerfully in a film that kind of feels like the perfect Transformers movie that we've been wanting all along. If it was longer and had more action and had more development, but still as the film is, it is very good. The film is entertaining from beginning to end. I just feel like more time spent on it could have made a better product, but this film was, like I said before, likely rushed out. Overall, this film was really great, considering its great character work and the fact that it is true to what Transformers fans have wanted to see from a Transformers film. It's cool that it's also in G1 and kind of has like an 80s inspired sun. Okay, that's kind of irrelevant. I give this film overall a 9.2 out of 10. Also, Transformers is technically a comic book based superhero thing, as it can definitely be considered a superhero thing, and technically was a comic before it was a cartoon, as the toys were licensed out to Marvel Comics to make a comic book. But that's neither here nor there. That's just why this is included in the video. There are technically 2 more pieces of comic book related media that should be discussed that weren't already. The first is Boy Kills World, and the next one is Suicide Squad Isekai. As for Boy Kills World, I felt like it was a very well made and entertaining movie that surprised me. It seems like it was a good adaptation of the comic book. I have not read it, but it seems very faithful in the same way Scott Pilgrim was, and it reminds me of Scott Pilgrim, and also in a way Kill Bill. I feel like it is very well directed. The action scenes are fun and exhilarating and a lot of times well done. I like how this film uses the voiceover and kind of experiments with it and uses a voiceover in a more interesting way than most movies do. And the character work creates a heartfelt revenge story that we really believe in. Overall, I give this movie an 8.7 out of 10. As for Suicide Squad Isekai, from what I have seen, It's decent enough. It has entertaining action, but it's not too developed on the character side, and it doesn't dive too deep into these characters or really feel like the true personalities of some of these characters. The show really isn't so much an adaptation of these characters, which is why I was really hesitant to include it, but it is an entertaining enough romp with some pretty stellar action sequences. And for me, someone who is not too much of a fan of anime, this show was not bad, and it's cool to see some of the most popular current Suicide Squad characters all on a show together. I give this show a 7.4 overall.